Hi everybody, it's later on. I was recording that video and I got to the end of my battery life and my phone died. But yeah, I just rewatched that. A lot of times I won't even know until I rewatch a video if I'm having a day where I am talking in circles. But yes, that is a lot of heavy stuff this week, and I'm not ready to talk about it, but I will. And I've been, since I did that video, I don't remember what time I did it, but it was today. I actually got to talk with my fiance and share some of these things with him, and he is not a talker, and he said he was really proud of me because this is the hard work. So it's like it probably is very strange for you guys because I'm talking about it, but I can't talk about it, you know, and I'm still working things out, but I will, I promise. I have to process, see what I can and can't do, form some kind of framework or goals or things to try. But it's very difficult if you're going into trying something that is not natural, that is opposite of how you do things. Because if you're doing something that's not like you, you're going to have failures. You're going to be trying things that are difficult. So I don't know what's going to happen yet. I don't know how I'm going to go about it. It might be like 2 weeks. I don't know. I have this, like, I know myself, and I know how long it takes me to take things in and work things out. So even if I could talk to you, I mean, part of it's personal. And so even if I could tell you guys right now, it's too new. It's too new. And yeah, it's tough. But staying the same doesn't help. And you might never have these experiences in your life because every neurodivergent person is so freaking different from each other, especially with autism. If you were to look at all the different challenges or traits, you could have one person with this thing, this thing, this thing, and the other person with this thing, this thing, this thing, opposite, like totally different from each other, yet they both have autism, right? Now, if you have the potential, and the same thing with ADHD, not even just like, okay, this one's hyper, the ADHD, primarily hyperactive type, which they don't have as much as the attention, deficit part. They're more impulsive. And then you have somebody like me that's mostly a space shot, just daydreamer, enough that it impacts your life, executive functioning issues, poor working memory, but not hyperactive and impatient and impulsive. And then you've got the combined. And even if outside of those three main categories, there's like, I want to say like 5 or 6 different types. If you were to go into like Daniel Amen, or if you were to, I don't know if Russell Barkley talks about this. I can get more information from my ADHD friends so we can, yeah, that's not now. Maybe next month. Shoot me a comment. Anybody who's watched this, ADHD friends and autism friends, tell me what you would like to discuss. Now, there are 2 people that I talked to last week, and I had asked what kinds of, maybe like in the last week or so, what things would you like me to talk about that we can talk together. I'm not a counselor. I'm not an expert. I'm interested. And some of these things I've learned that I can share with you. And some of them you might know that you can share with me. And we're just sharing things as we learn and helping each other. So you don't have to do it by yourself. definitely counseling, definitely medical doctor, definitely go get your yearly physical. I know that's a whole nother episode. It's very important. We need to talk about that. I don't think I found a neurodivergent person who doesn't avoid going to the doctors or the dentist or avoids going through the process of getting health insurance just so they can do that. Nightmare. So that's a whole another can of worms that we can open and look at soon. Oh, what I was going to say, the two things that I was discussing with some of our subscribers, and I say our because this is like, it's my channel, but it's kind of like our channel, which I very much like, because I feel like each of us is knowledgeable in different things because we've had different challenges and we've also learned different things. So I think that this is very helpful because when you get information from another neurodivergent person who has information to share, and it doesn't have to be me, it can be one of the other subscribers, one of the other people here, you bring a lived experience with you that you can't necessarily get in counseling, which I think is very, very important. But don't avoid counseling if you can go and if you are open to it. So the two topics, one was about rumination. It was about going over things again and again and again, like social situations from even like a decade ago. And I did like tie that in because I'm like, that is a trauma response. That is 100% a trauma response. I don't know anyone who's grown up neurodivergent, even in the best situation, that is not have trauma in the sense you're going to be bullied. The average ADHD person has 20,000 more criticisms, negative comments, and been in trouble with teachers, parents, other people. Not even counting maybe counting the bullying. I think that that's a really low number. I don't know how they got that number, but that doesn't seem high enough. I mean, just think about it. If you can go back to your grade school days, how many times in a day were you yelled at by a teacher or somebody was impatient with you or said a comment that was hurtful? Not intending to, they're trying to help, but they didn't know. But it's still like 1,000 million paper cuts. But some of those situations were painful. There might be individual things that are traumatic. And that is if you aren't even dealing with severe bullying, physical abuse, the things that, or like a household that is very abusive. On top of all that, I'm just talking about in the best situation. So I think it was Ego Shredder had mentioned that rumination. And I definitely see that as something that might be a common experience for all of us. So I think that's really good to talk about. We can talk about that soon. And a newer member, I can't remember her name, forgive me, I'm so sorry, she's a sweetheart, and I had mentioned EMDR, and I haven't learned about it yet, but the short version is, from what I understand and what I've been told, is a very special type of therapy or treatment that is meant to treat trauma, that works very differently than talk therapy. So talk therapy is not going to work with trauma because anytime you deal with emotions or pain that hasn't been processed, that activates a certain part of your brain that conversation is not going to affect. It's just not. And every time you bring it up or think about it, it's like you're reliving it, right? And so you get re-traumatized. And it's like this vicious cycle, like a positive feedback loop. So EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So eye movement, when you're sleeping and your eyes are moving during rapid eye movement, I guess that when your eyes are doing that, when you're sleeping, your brain's actually processing events from the day, like taking, accepting, and then storing it into long-term memory. And then once it does that, it's now compartmentalized. So you can retrieve it, but it's not going to hurt you. Whereas a trauma never goes through that. It stays here, no matter how long ago it happened. So that's why every time there is a trigger, like people who have shell shock, they used to call, I forget the other words for it, the people who come back from war, who are traumatized by horrific experiences of death in front of them. Of course, the human psyche, the brain, the soul, however you want to look at, in some ways we are fragile because we can only take so much. We're still human beings with feelings, right? No matter how much you want to put it aside, you're still a human being. So yeah, your brain can only take so much. So then it's like that shock and awe, it stays there. So the eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing, what this does is it utilizes looking left and right, because apparently when you look one way, you're accessing one part of your brain. When you look another way, you're accessing another part of your brain. Who knew? You're physically accessing different parts of your brain. So I started talking about this in a video, and I think I got sidetracked. So this is from last week, and I don't think I ever really got to explain it, but I started talking about how sometimes this isn't a special interest, but because psychology and trying to understand people, and I think it does end up being a part of my neurodivergence, because I didn't understand why I couldn't pick out when people were lying to me, because I considered myself a pretty good judge of character, and I'm an empath. So I don't get it. I don't get it how, and I'm starting to understand how that can be created from trauma, because so you learn to be very observant of every little minuscule facial movement. So you learn how to read people. But if you're neurodivergent, you might just believe something somebody tells you because you don't know certain social rules. Like your brain will work differently. How did that connect with this? Oh, so because I had gone through experiences in my life. I might know somebody for a decade, and then it turns out they might be a completely different person. That will F you up for life. It doesn't even matter if the situation was traumatic. Just the fact that you did not know who a person is. Like, you might have had some ideas, there might have been a little, like, red flags or whatever, but just that you be that wrong. So that's why I would watch some of these videos about picking up on, so the ones that do like the Observe channel, he's very good. There's a couple other ones. Some of them come from like a forensic psychology standpoint, so they'll pull up videos from interviews of people who have later been convicted of crimes, who we can then, from a psychology standpoint and a personality standpoint or personality disorder standpoint, you can go back, and these people who know about micro expressions on their face can tell you what to look for. So this seems unrelated, but it's not. So one of the things you learn when you watch that is that they would look, when somebody's having a conversation, if they're being interviewed, if they suddenly look this way, they'll be like, oh, that person's lying because they're accessing this part of the brain. Or they look over here, oh no, that's the creative part of their brain. This is the memory part of their brain. So I never really gave it a second thought when they said that when they're looking in a direction, they're actually accessing part of your brain. But this EMDR works in that way. So it utilizes the movement of your eyes going back and forth. And it's basically, so when you go through a trauma, and like I said, I haven't learned about this yet. I'm just sharing with you what I have been told and like little snippets of just like introductory stuff that I watched that week. So I'm not an expert, and if I'm wrong, let me know. I'm just starting to learn about this. So the way that EMDR works differently to treat trauma is by the way, if any of you guys want to seek this out from a therapist, there is a very important thing that you should know, not to be afraid, but to just be aware. So if you seek to have this type of treatment or therapy, one, it's not going to be appropriate for everybody. Depending on the type of trauma you've had and how severe, it's not appropriate for everyone. If some people have had like extreme trauma, that it may not be appropriate because that's going to be harmful, right? But the whole point of it is that when you go through this process of them having you look back and forth, and what the therapist does is, in a very safe way, have you remember this thing. And they don't do this right off the bat, which that gave me a bit of a relief, because even just thinking about doing that was like, I could feel like anxiety attack, like would just even, like I had to not think about it. And I don't even have trauma like other people. We've all got our stuff, but I can't, like, I'm thinking, how is that going to help people? You're going to re-traumatize them. That is the second point. The most important thing, if you do have a counselor, and it has been recommended for you to consider that it could be an option for you, just make sure that the person who does this treatment with you is specially trained in EMDR. Because you're dealing with trauma. You can't just have any Tom, Dick, or Harry messing around with your brain and bringing up fucking trauma. Because you're going to re-traumatize somebody. You have a safe person who is very skilled, who has already been trained, not just a regular counselor who just took a workshop, so that's what I've heard. And I did see that in a video when I started learning about it. But when I talked with my therapist last week, I said, what is it? I saw these things about it. Can you tell me a little bit more? She mentioned that too. That she goes, now she happens to be somebody who is trained. So she is a safe therapist if I decide that I want to try this. Okay, so that made me feel a lot better. And just learning about it, knowing it's my choice, and I can take however many years I want to learn about what it is to decide if it's right for me. So that helps me be less scared of it and to have more control if it's right for me. And what else? Another thing is they start very slowly. So it may be a number of sessions that you do this treatment. And it's not like anything physical. So it's not like surgery. It's not like electric shock therapy. It's just, but because you're dealing with trauma, those are sensitive issues and it's scary, right? So if you're with somebody who's trained and is a safe, a skilled person who knows how to navigate this in such a way that you're not going to be traumatized, it can heal people, which is mind-blowing. So what it does is it works in a different way than therapy. Therapy, you look at how you believe things, and cognitive behavioral therapy, the gold standard, is to examine where your thoughts might be incorrect and not helpful for you, and to learn better thoughts. Because we all do that. You're not mentally ill just because you go, we could all probably go and learn that, right? Our parents didn't know that either. But this goes about it a completely different way. So you're not being intellectual, because when you're dealing with phobias and trauma, that is a primal part of your brain, dude. Primal. What does that primal part of your brain do? As soon as that shit's activated, you are in fight or flight mode. You are run now, think later, because your brain thinks you're going to die from a bear that's about to attack you. That's what I'm talking about. So even though this particular situation is something that already happened and it was a human situation, there wasn't actually a bear that was going to kill you, your brain, that trauma part of your brain, is a primitive part, the fear part that wants to preserve you from dying, will have you flee first, react first, and think later. You can't reason with that part of you. So that's why, like with phobias, they have to do exposure therapy. So what this does, now as they're having you look back and forth, so from what my therapist was saying, when you have trauma, it stores differently in your brain. So it never got put away. You shoved it down. Your brain, if it's severe enough, may do crazy things like block the memory. But it never put it away. It never processed it. It never did what it needs to do to now diffuse it of those scary feelings. And it didn't put it away. So anytime it comes up, you're reliving it. It's like it's now. When you do this, oh, and so this is what your brain does when you're asleep. It goes back and forth and accesses your logical mind and your creative mind. Your logical mind, your creative mind. The creative mind thinks of solutions. It's creative. It's symbolic. Your logical mind looks at facts. So it's going back and forth, back and forth. And as it does that, when you're looking back and forth, your brain's processing. So they're utilizing this. So as you're looking back, they have you follow something with your eyes. And it's not like hypnosis, but it can be in a way. So it's not hypnosis, which isn't good necessarily. I don't know. I'm not going there. This is, you are awake. You are not put under a trance. You are just moving your eyes. You are totally in control. But you are participating. You are choosing this. And then accessing it in a safe way. The way the therapist directs you so that you're not re-traumatized. But in bringing it up, it is going to not feel good. And then you do this thing and it changes the wiring in your brain. And it actually makes you process something that was so traumatic that your brain was not able to process. And as you do this, it takes a few sessions, from what I understand, depending about the type of trauma, how severe it is. If you can do it in a few sessions, it might take longer. And even from what I understand, just one session, even if it's not like healed, like it will never 100% heal this painful thing that happened to you, depending on how horrific it is. But what it does is, since it's activating that part of your brain physically, by physically having your eyes move back and forth, it causes your brain to be able to process the thing that the trauma wouldn't allow it to. So it is doing the thing you have not been able to do physically. It's crazy. And from what I understand, just one of these sessions, the person afterwards will have significant improvement. So now, and what that means is, the result is, before, any kind of reminder or trigger could send somebody in a freaking spiral. And then depending on how many days, or maybe, depending on what that type of trauma is. I don't know what the consequences are for some people that are very extremely severe. But now it's less so. It's desensitizing. So it's using eye movement therapy, and the result is it desensitizes you. Desensitizes you, which is great, because especially for neurodivergent people, we're already really on edge. We're already overprotective because we've been through so much. So we're already on high alert. We're already on basically trauma mode anyway. So can you imagine a treatment that can bring that level of trauma down? It's not like it's never going to hurt you, but at least now maybe you can start to talk about it. That is fucking huge. Huge. The level of suffering, even just a little bit, I can't even imagine what that could do for so many people. So yeah, I think that this could be really good. And I am going to share it with you as I learn about it. But like I always say, I am not a licensed counselor. I'm not a licensed doctor. I'm not a medical professional. So do your own research. Do it in a safe way. You are in control. You decide. And make sure if you have to change a counselor, if your counselor's not helpful for you, try as many counselors as you can until you find somebody that is. I had to. That's not weird. You might feel weird doing that. Don't. Having a counselor is just like when you date. Like, well, it's not that kind of a relationship, but do you know how like some people are right for you and some people aren't? It's the same thing with counselors. So don't feel you have to stick with the same counselor if it's not working for you. I'm going to go. I have been talking a very long time. I think I am going to break this up into 2 different videos now. But I've been sharing some heavy freaking stuff this week with you guys. Heavy freaking stuff. That sounds like uber dramatic, but I don't know. The stuff I'm going through is mega heavy. I hope you guys are all doing well. And I think that this is good. This is good. Your situation probably completely different than mine. But this is going to help somebody. And as I learn more, I'll share it with you. It's getting late. I have to... Did I eat? I had to go eat. I think I had a sandwich for dinner. We have ice cream for the first time in like a couple months. We were being good, but I saw ice cream! I'm so excited. Okay, I'm going to go have some ice cream. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And I will see you soon. Love you guys. Take care. Do something kind for yourself. You deserve it. Don't listen to the jerks out there. It's hard. It's hard. Reach out to other subs in here. I don't like the word subscriber, or I think sub is like subservient, and I feel like we're equals. And I feel like we all have so much to contribute. I'm not trying to be famous. I'm not trying to be like an influencer. I'm just a person who's struggling, who's trying to reach out to other people who are struggling. And hopefully something I go through can help you. And so far I feel like this has been a miracle, because some of the things that you guys share with me has helped me. And I didn't expect that. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And I love you guys. And I hope you have a great night. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.